Public Schools Board of Education on this August 11th. We're glad you're here. We're going to begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome. Our meetings are governed by the Nebraska Open Meetings Act, a copy of which is located on the south wall. And thank you to Jody for publication and verification this evening. We are going to offer the public forum this evening at our normal time, which is at the beginning. These are these gold sheets that are in the back of the room, so if you'd like to speak with the board this evening, please fill this out and bring it up front to Jody, and we'll be happy to have you speak with us. We'll start with Sherry Schuler this evening. Hopefully I pronounced her name correctly. While you're coming up, I'll go over just some of the ground rules. From our perspective, we like to make sure everybody has about 5 minutes or so to talk with the board. And Stacy's going to keep us a timer up there, so I don't have to flag you down and tell you when you've gotten close to 5 minutes. If these are personnel or student topics, please hold those off and talk to the administration afterwards. And as a general rule, we don't engage in conversation just to make sure we're not violating the Open Meetings Act. Happy to take your feedback, and then we will get back to you as necessary. So welcome. Thank you for coming this evening. Glad you're here.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Sherry Schuler, and I am here on behalf of the Rainbow Parents of Nebraska, a statewide nonprofit organization of thousands of parents and allies advocating for LGBTQ children. As you know, despite very widespread opposition, last legislative session, LB 89 passed and was signed by the governor this past June 4th. This law bans transgender athletes from teams that align with their gender, not just at the high school level, but covers all children in K-12. Though it initially also banned children and adults from their correct bathrooms and locker rooms, that part was removed so that the bill would pass. Regardless of the law, the political climate created by proponents, including our governor, has made school bathrooms less safe for all students. I want to briefly just talk about our concerns over both sports and bathrooms. So first, the sports ban is likely to cause chaos this fall. For example, transgender students who have always been known as their current identity have to decide whether to quit the sports they love or be outed to their peers. Either way, they're going to need increased support from the schools. How will coaches handle gender challenges if people weaponize the law against players? Maybe their team isn't doing well and they want to challenge somebody's gender. How will parents react to seeing now transgender boys on their daughters' teams? These and many other logistical issues that were not thought through by lawmakers now are going to fall in the laps of school leaders. And there's so much potential for increased conflict and trauma that schools are going to need to look out for. Since school starts this week, I hope that you and other district leaders have already been talking about and planning for these and other things that may go wrong. So second, though the bathroom ban was not in the final bill, when Governor Pillen signed it on June 4th, he said, and this is a quote, "I have confidence that most young boys and men in Nebraska know right from wrong, and they'll take care of whoever tries to go into the locker room or restroom." This drew laughs from those present, but to parents of LGBTQ+ kids, his words were chilling. The governor's words encourage vigilantes to police gender and gives them license to take care of things in bathrooms. This will target not just transgender children, but any child who does not conform to traditional gender standards. Bathrooms are already scary places for gender non-conforming kids, and this only adds stress at the same time that mental health supports are being cut across our state and also federally. Fair or not, schools are going to have to deal with the collateral damage and be there for all of our kids. In closing, we urge you to reduce harm by preparing our administrators, counselors, and teachers to offer extra support to transgender students being outed or newly excluded from participating on athletic teams with their friends, to prepare for the inevitable increase in bullying and harassment by reviewing and updating existing policies and vigorously enforcing them, and extending additional grace to transgender and gender nonconforming students who may be experiencing increased distress this fall caused by the actions and words of our federal and state officials. It's our hope at Rainbow Parents that by highlighting challenges caused by bad governance and foolish words, your leadership can help protect all of the children attending Bennington Public Schools from the fallout. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Is there anyone else that'd like to speak with the board this evening? I agree. I think we're just getting ramped up for the school year. All right, the next item on our agenda is our consent agenda, which includes the approval of our agenda for this evening, approval of the minutes from our Monday, July 14, 2025 regular meeting, as well as our special hearing on July 6th, special hearing on the 14th as well, and then our board retreat on the 16th. Presentation of our August bills for approval and payment, which Steve and I reviewed this month, and our personnel report. Just wanted to highlight a couple of items just for the board's benefit. The curriculum purchases did come through this month, as well as our insurance payment for next year, and our band uniforms. So there were a couple bigger ticket items through the end of the fiscal year. So, were there any questions, any other commentary on the consent agenda? Hard to see everybody. I see Kara way down there. All right, I move to approve the consent agenda as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Jeremy. Jody, call the roll, please.
Jeremy,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Kara,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Allison.
Yes. Motion passes. That brings us to our reports and presentations section of our meeting this evening. I know we're a little short in some facets with the open houses, so we're going to be flexible tonight as a board. But I believe we're going to start with our elementary report with Allison Delwa. Did I say that right?
Delwo.
Delwo, thank you.
Yeah.
Long I remember that.
Hi, I'm Allison Delwo. I'm the principal at Pine Creek. We have our open house tomorrow night, so all of the elementaries are excited to have the kids back in session. We did highlight some of the things that went on in our buildings this summer. So we had summer school at 2 buildings, camp convention, and college for kids, which all went off successfully. And we had kindergarten roundup on the 31st and 1st, which was a great time to meet our new kids and their families and get them used to the idea of coming to school. Do you have any questions?
Get ready.
Thank you. Oh, I know.
Thanks, Allison.
All right, I think our middle school report will not have it this evening. They do have open house tonight, so hope all is well there. And then Laura McGrew will do our high school report.
I think it's mildly entertaining. This will be Laura's first meeting officially in her capacity as dean of students, and Greg punted and isn't here.
I'll be sure to give them claps. Don't worry. Yes. Well, welcome. We're glad you're here.
Thanks. Okay, so Greg sent kind of some different bullet points. I'm just going to hit on a few things. One thing is we've hired 6 new teachers at the high school, and all 6 teachers have been in the summer coming up for meeting with department heads and doing curriculum stuff and getting ready for pacing guides and whatnot. So they're going to hit the ground running on Wednesday. I'm pretty sure of that. AP is something I wanted to talk about. So AP scores came out in July, and I know Greg sent kind of another document that goes with that, but we have 13 classes of high school that teach AP. 10 of those 13 received higher than the state average over their overall scores, and then all 13 averaged a mean score of 3.69, where last year we averaged a 3.41, so we were pretty proud of that. One of the things we talked about of opportunity for growth is that our AP teachers are singletons, meaning that an AP government teacher only teaches AP government by themselves. So the Eastern Midlands Conference has come up with a summer summit where they're able to maybe work with other AP teachers at the conference and getting a chance to collaborate and get some ideas and talk about different practices that work for them. Last Monday and Tuesday, we had a registration days from 8 to 4. Kids could come up and get their schedules and their parking tags and meet with their guidance counselors one-on-one to talk about holes in their schedules or whatnot. Tonight we have our open house from 7 to 8:30, so new incoming students as well as freshmen and their parents get a chance to meet the building, so to say, and meet Dr. Lamberty, where students get their schedule, they get a chance to walk around the building, talk to staff members, direct them, and help them feel a little more comfortable for Wednesday. And then on top of that, we have our activity fair tonight. So our club sponsors and coaches have different booths and stuff to help those kids feel like they're more involved as they get to the high school. Any questions for me?
Good job.
Thank you.
I just want to note that a 3.7 on the AP test as a whole, and 230 kids taking it, it's incredible. I mean, that is really, really special. So a lot of great things happening with high school.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Bombeck, the Student Services.
Hello, Dan Bombeck, Student Services. We had a busy summer. Highlight a few things. Every August, I like to do our August comparison for special education students. This year, we saw, so far, we've seen an increase of 36 students in special education. Biggest increase being 13 at the South Middle School. I do want to note that our August comparison is really early in the year. I'll be back again in October to provide our official student count. Those are a lot more accurate numbers because we're still seeing which students are going to show up and which students aren't. So these are very rough numbers. It's just kind of some planning purpose to make sure we absolutely have some staff in the right places. So the other thing I wanted to highlight here, we have 9 new staff members joining us this year. This was from additional FTE that we approved through the proposal process, as well as some replacement of some staff who retired or left the state or other things like that. We welcomed them this last week and had some great meetings and are excited for them to get started with their students. And then I mentioned we had a busy summer. So each year we get to work on some BPS tip grant pieces, which is some summer work that allows our staff to really improve what they're doing or refine some of the systems we're working on. A few of them I'd like to highlight. Transition was an area that we were really working on, making some robust tools for our staff members. This year we developed the Transition to Adulthood Timeline, which helps our teams talk through what types of activities parents need to be going through outside of the school setting to set their students up for success if they have a IEP, they're a little more impacted in what their needs are. We hope that tool will help spread out the things that parents do so they don't all pile up in high school year because they're usually intense applications they have to put in and can be daunting at times. Another one that we worked on, resource weighting. We've talked before about triggers. We use triggers for our proposal process. Special education has not been involved in that due to getting some of our things like resource weighting ironed out and make sure it's a stable number that we can rely on to determine what FTE should be for the following year. We were able to get that put together following all of our IEP training last year. We hope to pilot that this year, and we'll hopefully utilize that number in next year's proposal process. And then finally, intervention matrix. One of the things that we had a group working on really hard was developing a list of all the available interventions the district approves. This would be programs, things like that would help for math intervention, reading intervention, and other areas so that case managers or interventionists can select appropriate interventions for students. I said interventions a lot in that sense, so I'm not sure what else I was supposed to use, but they have a few more options to select to make sure they're addressing student needs. Any questions?
All right, next up is our curriculum instruction and assessment with Mr. Feeney, and let's get over you.
Nobody would have wanted that. No, it just came Jimmy Feeney, Director of Secondary Education. Pretty simple report this year, just a couple updates for this month, excuse me. From a curriculum standpoint, we had a lot of different adoptions last year. Those are all in implementation phase. So today we finished up our final training to get the year started. We'll continue to support those teachers throughout the year as part of that implementation plan. Our adoption year is math this year. So we have our ESU consultants as part of our schedule with them ready to help facilitate that process. We have our team set, our meeting dates. So excited to get that started. That'll be a good one to get underway. From an assessment standpoint, NSCAS results are still embargoed, so we don't have any public information we can share on those. We expect those later in the fall. Those come out with the NEP report. With individual score reports, we can't share with parents. So we are starting to get those put in envelopes. We'll post those online and get those mailed home so parents can see where their individual students land. And just off to the right there, an idea of what our reporting assessments are. So the next year we will have math growth for fall, winter, spring, focus on growth and reading and math for those. We have our spring summative, which is related to the standards and gives us a measure of how our kids do compared to the standards in the state. And then ELPA 21 is for our language acquisition students, so our EL students, and DATE is the federal assessment that will take place. Both those take place in that February-March timeline. So you'll see things on all of those. We just put those names in front of you, so if you see them, there's some familiarity. And finally, professional development. Exciting time of year, kicking things off. I think as you read the list of things we try to accomplish in opening day, is one of the most important. Is the last one, classroom preparation time. We want to give our teachers a chance to make sure they have time to get ready for students. That's why we're all here. So hopefully we were able to accomplish that, but we did have that fourth day this year with where our calendar landed, and that was a benefit. We were able to get a lot of things out there in front of staff that we don't have to do later in the year. And then we'll kick off our year August 13th with all the initiatives coming out this year. The two that seemed really significant actually dovetail really well together with our instructional model, and then our PLC, which will focus on how we talk about instruction. So a great two to put together with clarity and PLC implementation. Any questions I can answer? All right, thank you.
All right, next up is our operations report. Dr. Blumenthal.
Good evening, Matt Bowman, Campus Assistant Superintendent. Go ahead and scroll down if you can, Stacy. We welcome 36 new teachers to Bennington this year. Get a picture every year at the high school. Always excited to see them. 36 new teachers. We had 2 returning staff members that had been with us in the past and had an opportunity to come back and work for us again at the high school. And then we had 3 administrators as well for the 25-26 school year. So last Wednesday was our day of new teacher mentor-mentee training, where we bring them in a day early, and we've been doing that for quite some time here in Bennington. So had a good day with them one day before everybody else came back on Thursday. Stacy, can you scroll down again? We'll have the opportunity to go to some job fairs again this year. Through some of those job fairs last year, we were able to recruit in 6 student teachers to Bennington. I think that's the highest number, at least that I can remember, in quite some time here. Student teachers in Bennington is a great way for them to get to us train them in what we do with our teachers and what we do with our curriculum and learning and instruction in Bennington. And then as we grow so fast, a lot of times we have the opportunity to turn right around and hire those people that we just spent a semester working with and training. So we think the student teacher route is a really good route for us to recruit staff to Bennington to be employees here. Substitutes, we will start the year with 174 substitute teachers on the list, which is up 3 from last year in August. Certificated teaching staff, we have all 1 position that was filled with that high school science position, and we were able to absorb that and work through the logistics of that at the high school this school year with Dr. Landry. And in classified staff, 89.2% of the jobs were filled. As of last week when I did this report, I think we filled either 1 or 2 positions since then. 173 out of 192 approved classified staff positions, and we're up from 84.3% from a year ago. So I appreciate Mr. Edens, Mrs. Watson-Baugh, and Mrs. Sendelar, the work that they've done to recruit and to interview and to hire and retain staff in those areas: food service, transportation, and paraprofessionals. So. Last thing, just a couple of pictures from some work this summer. We added some tenting to the elementary at Stratford in the cafeteria. There was just a really tough glare that was in there over the course of the day. Got some bids and got that installed this year. And then we installed some carpet, which I'll talk a little bit later at the high school, but took a couple of pictures of that carpet install, I believe, either Friday or maybe this morning, he finished up with that carpet install. And so the original classrooms and the original hallways at Bennington High School have new carpet to start the 25-26 school year. Questions I can answer?
You needed like before and after pictures of
I didn't do the before and after, no.
Dr. Potts can attest, my daughter is a big fan of the new carpet.
Okay, all right.
10 out of 10, I heard.
They'll take credit for picking it up then, right?
Probably.
When somebody says they don't like it, they'll say it was me that picked it up, 100%. Any other questions I can answer? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We did have a superintendent report. I'm just trying to move this along, apparently.
Yeah, that's all good. I'm gonna be fairly quick because I was the only one presenting last month and I just wanted to keep it out. So I'm only gonna go through one of these. Just a little bit of an update on the second high school and where we're at. We're gonna have DLR and Hausman come out and do a full presentation out there in September, October. Pictures, the whole 9 yards. But at least as far as of today, the first thing we have is that mass site grading. So this is where rough grading is gonna come in and just make sure that the entire site is graded out, ready to roll. They're about 20 to 25% done, so they're on track. They still feel like we're gonna be able to get those footings down in the middle of October. But they have ran behind schedule over the last couple of weeks. Obviously, it's rained almost every single day. So hopefully we're able, I know they're working some weekends and doing the best that they can. We're still in okay shape. We also need to be dry for a hot minute. Second thing that we had was a bid package for the tennis courts. The construction of the tennis courts are about 25% completed. They were supposed to be installed on August 15th. Again, the rain came in, so now we're back to what we believe is going to be August 20th. The biggest hurdle for that is we have to have the concrete poured for 30 days before you put the tennis courts on the top. And when you put the tennis courts on the top, the sealant on the top has to be over 50 degrees for 48 straight hours. Not a big deal today. Fast forward 30 days and we're starting to get to that time period where that might be an issue. And so I know that they're going to get them down as soon as they possibly can. Hausman's also looking at some different options with the way that it's poured and other options, things that they can do when they lay it. So we're still on schedule. Everything's going okay. The rain has really put us behind on a couple of those time sensitive items. But as of today, we're doing just fine. As far as the architectural drawings, they're also about 25% complete. Things are really starting to come together. We'll have 70% completion by early September. That's when we start working on the guaranteed maximum price. 100% completion will be done in early October. And so we're a few weeks away from things really starting to come together and maybe starting to work with Hausman on what that GMP will be. As far as plating and certification, the Douglas County Planning Commission has approved the site drawings and they gave final approval for the building. Just pending a few alternative or a few considerations, but nothing major. Once the final drawings are complete, they go to the city and county for final approval. So we're moving along on that one. And then finally, our core team will be beginning next week. We'll have our first core team meeting. So that's either 10 to 12 teachers. We've got 6 to 8 community members, administrators, and start talking about what we have to do to move the project forward. And the first tasks are school colors and mascot. We want to get those done early, thinking that, you're going to go from one high school to 2 high schools. There's a lot of transitions that are going to have to take place, not just within our school system, but within our community. And so just knowing the colors and the mascot 2 years in advance, I think is going to help everybody. When you think about the different organizations around town, how many are using Tuffy or the Badger as their logo. Now they got to think, we're still going to do that, we want to do something different. Or maybe they're all blue, what are the new colors going to be as well? And so we just want to get those checked off the list early this year, so our whole community has a chance to kind of acclimate themselves and think about what's going to happen in the next 2 years. So those will be the first couple things on the list. Questions on any of those? All right, thank you very much.
All right, I know the Building and Finance Committee met briefly on a mower that we needed, and I think that's up for approval, so we need to discuss. I think that was it for committee meetings this month. So that brings us to our coordinator report, which is Mr. Edens, and I believe he is going to discuss our transportation plan. I know you're busy this time of year, especially.
Good evening, Jeremy Edens, Coordinator of Facilities and Transportation. So starting the year, staffing wise, we only lost 1 driver due to retirement. But the good news is we hired, trained, and certified a new driver over the summer. We're 2 for 2 so far this year on training, with them passing on their first time. Possibly 2 drivers down on the first day of school. So one is out for medical, another one's out on one vacation and got stays cross country. We are going to start the year with 5 contracted drivers with first student. That is not an increase. That's what we had last year. That's a typo in there. The first student transportation, we have a 3-year contract that we signed with them in 2022, 2023. We are posting and actively recruiting and interviewing. We have our jobs posted on Indeed and our school website. Pretty tough competition up there for CDL drivers. So neighboring school districts starting off at 19, going all the way up to $43 an hour for CDL drivers for buses. The large people transportation contractors here in the Omaha metro area, wages are 25 to 29. And there's 300 plus job postings on Indeed.com right now for CDL drivers within a 15-mile radius of Inwood. Ridership, so continue to go up every year. As of today, we're at 935 riders. That's an increase of about 28 from where we ended the last day of school last year. Forecasted, I expect us kind of when everything settles down at the end of the year to be around 1,000 students. We do currently have 72 students sitting on a wait list right now for unpaid transportation fees. We are getting quite a few of those back over the next couple of days. I know over the last 3 days, we've added like probably 35 on that list. Routing, so currently we have 25 routes. 6 of those are special education. 19 of them are K through 12 big buses. Right now we're averaging 45 students per bus on our big K through 12 buses. So right now our routes on average in the morning from when they leave the bus barn to they get back are about 43 minutes. Afternoon, they're at 53 minutes. Total mileage per day right now, just for our K through 12 buses, is 518 miles a day, averaging 13.6 miles per bus. Our longest route is Route 37. It's a 91-minute route, and it covers 31 miles, most of it up in the country. So we are providing coverage for over 100 square miles. Construction detours are playing a really big role in some of these route times. Preaching to the choir. Activity trips, so we're gonna have to continue to be creative and flexible with our coaches and activity directors to make sure our student athletes are getting where they need to be for their contest. So technology, so we created about 250 new bus passes within the last week and got those out to the schools, so those will be handed out back to school nights. All tablets, two-way radios are tested and operational. Traverses, the software we use, has performed really, really well for us. Vehicle maintenance is going to be a big deal for us this year. Nearly all of our buses are going to be used every single day, so any kind of down bus is going to create a ripple effect. All of our annual and 80-day vehicle inspections have been completed. Something new this year is our drivers are going to be required to complete a post-trip inspection and sign off on it. So that includes walking around the bus and walking inside the bus. Future planning and recommendations, potential solution for staffing issues, consideration of staggering our start times and dismissal times, similar to what Omaha Public Schools does and Miller Public Schools. This would allow each of our drivers, instead of doing one run, to be able to do 2 runs in one day. This could also maybe help by adding some more hours and making it a full-time position with benefits and make it more attractive. We have done some time studies on it. Be happy to share those results with anybody who's interested. Activity issues, we're working with our athletic directors, trying to come up with ways. We have a lot of activities on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so we're exploring the possibility of having contests on Wednesdays. Solutions for mechanic issues, we have a proposal out now. Really got fingers crossed that we're going to get that one through. But we do have a very large growing fleet, and relying on mobile mechanics and outside shops is becoming a little troublesome. That's it. Do you have any questions for me?
Thanks, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's gotta be all the way, it's crazy.
Just want to bring up,
Jeremy talked about it, but it was a big deal for us to try to get their passes out before the beginning of the school year. That way, during the open houses, all the kids can have their bus pass on the very first day. We didn't have to put any secondary systems in place for a week or 2 weeks for that to take place. And I know Jeremy and his crew worked really hard to make that happen. And we're excited to start the year with every kid holding a bus pass, ready to scan it and scan out. So nice. I appreciate all the work.
All right, that brings us to our spotlight report on summer school. We've got a host of folks here. Mrs. Dello and Mr. Minor, Miss Horvath, Miss Holtz, and Miss McGurk. I'm speaking.
We're gonna go one by one, so.
First, all right, so Andrew and I were the site directors of 2 different elementary summer school sites. I was at Livingston Elementary and Andrew was at Stratford.
Andrew Minor, Stratford Summer School Director.
We, this year again, held 3 straight weeks, 5-day weeks of summer school. That was a shift from the past where we did 4 4-day weeks. We had 82 registered students at my site, and Andrew has a bigger site because there was 3 elementary schools that fed into him with 132 students. We prioritize reading and math content within there, and then we really bring in the supports with high school volunteers, paras, and classroom teachers.
Overall, we had good numbers for attendance, and a lot of that is thanks to the very generous Bennington Public Schools Foundation. They sponsor an initiative for us. For every week that a student attends every day, they get to pick up 2 books from our end of the summer school book fair. How we choose students for summer school is that we look at their IRIP status. We also have teachers analyze their math and NSCAS data, their DIBELS results, and any recommendations that the teachers have. They then kind of go and use that data to help plan for individual lessons, as well as additional sports.
We highlighted some of our pre and post test data. So each grade level had an ELA and a math pre-test and a post-test. We really kind of nailed it down to brass tacks this year. In the past, we found we had so many pre-tests and so many post-tests, and it made it difficult to see how someone would grow into these on all of that. And so we have a general ELA pre-test and a general math pre-test and post-test. And as expected, most of the students either maintained their performance or grew with that 3 weeks of instruction.
We did send out a survey at the end of the summer school session and got very positive results from the parents. You can see 94.7% back that they felt that it had a strong effect on their student learning this summer.
Thank you. Any questions for us?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Middle school.
Hi, I'm Melissa Lacey Horvath, middle school summer site director. So our theme this year, I have kids that are 18 to 10. A big thing is social media and influencing. So our theme was lights, camera, influence. Students got to explore a mix of social media culture, how to use social media appropriately, and it hooked them into the academic content and they showed good. Engagement, we did, I have my teachers, I have all of them, they're great at doing engagement strategies within their lesson plans. So I saw things like geometry tiles, there were whodunit investigations, there were a lot of scavenger hunts, lots of opportunities for movement. At the end of summer school that final Friday, we have a showcase that I invite parents to, community members. The best part was the bake-off. Students used their knowledge of fractions, multiply, divide fractions to make different things. There were also fact versus fake posters that none of us were good at. We can't tell which is fact and which is fake. Yeah, it was interesting. Students shared it, and then they ended it with Kona icing, I believe. Our attendance, 86% of 6th graders were in attendance the whole time. 7th grade 85 and 8th grade 92. So that's way better for our 8th graders. We know there's a lot less by the end of middle school years. Details, it was those 3 straight weeks, 8:30 to 11:30, reading, writing, and math were our core focuses. We used the co-teaching model. I know last year I was hesitant to do that. This year I discussed like ways to engage in co-teaching, and it went really well, really smoothly for the teachers. 140 students were invited, 47 signed up, and then 40 students attended, which is a 1 student increase from last year. Approximately 43% of those students had an IEP. NCS scores were mainly utilized to determine what to do going into that year, so that helped us drive our instruction. We did math, exponents, order of operations, and operations of fractions, reading, main idea, theme, text, and English. They really focused on making a claim and providing evidence. Our achievement, you can see our pre-test and post-test scores for math, everything. They use IXL as their test. They had the same test 6th through 8th grade, so it's amazing to see like our 6th graders and our 7th graders are right like at each other. So it could be a competition for next year. Reading achievement, the same thing. That was a major growth. The 8th graders, kind of get tired at the end of the year, so the post-test. So I'm thinking of doing that a little earlier in that 3rd week. And ELA. They used a 4-point rubric. 90% of students made growth on this rubric, and it was a lot of growth. Further considerations, transportation is always what parents struggle with the most because we switched from Bennington Middle School to Bennington South Middle School. We were at BMS this year. They do struggle with that. Invites, parents said they would really like to be invited at conferences, and I really haven't started the planning until like the week of conferences, as soon as conferences get over. So being more cognizant and planning better for that. Thank you. Do you guys have any questions?
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Erin Cole. I'm one of the high school math teachers, and I was also in charge of supervising summer school.
And I'm Laura Group, and meeting students in this big part of summer school.
Right, so how high school kind of works is our goal is to get students on track to graduate and then just recover any credits that they need from this school year. Having summer school allows our students to have more flexible schedules during the school year. During the fall and the spring, they can then elect courses that they want to be in and have more variety. For coursework, our kids have the option of doing APEX, which is an online program that we provide for students. But then specifically Algebra and English 9 are offered through direct teacher instruction, where we've had teachers at the high school record lessons and post them on Google Classroom. And then specifically in the Algebra and English 9 rooms for summer school, we have a math teacher and an English teacher there to provide assistance for the students. And everything we do in summer school is all self-paced for the students. How we lay out summer school is we offer 2 3-hour sessions. One is in the morning, one is in the afternoon. We have it for 3 weeks. We went from June 2nd to June 20th. Fridays were optional for students. Teachers could request students to come in. Usually we requested students if maybe we didn't think they were meeting the progress they needed to be successfully completed by the end of summer school. We also had a lot of students say, I just want to come on Friday. So that was really good to see kids wanting to come. Algebra and English 9 were only offered in the morning for students. And then how students get graded is if they were doing the APEX, which is the online program, they were graded based on their performance on quizzes and tests. For algebra, students were graded also on how they performed on practice. So we do a lot of IXL. There were some other additional assignments. We had chapter tests and then a final exam. And then English 9 was similar. Their performance was based on their papers, quizzes, tests, and the final exam as well. This table just shows the credits earned by each grade level. So as you can see, we didn't have to have any 12th grade or seniors attend summer school, which is great. They were able to get their credits throughout the school year. Then we did have a handful of 9th, 10th, and 11th graders. That middle column shows the total number of credits earned for each of the students in those grades. And then the far right category is of the students that attended our summer school program, what % of those students in that grade are on track to currently graduate? And then this slide shows the credits earned by each department. So majority of our credits earned were for our core classes, as you can see, English, math, science, and social studies. The other credits would be for our electives that we offer at the high school.
So our achievement on the left-hand side, you'll notice the last 3 years, our credits have dwindled, and that's really because on the right-hand side of our percentage of students passing our classes. So last semester, we had 98% of our student population was passing all of the courses. So obviously, credit recovery and course deficiencies are something that are dwindling as well. Students are actually counted for minutes, so they show up if they are late or they leave early, it counts against their minutes. 91% of our students were there on time every single day, ready to roll. When a student completes the course, then they are done for the semester and they're good to go. Summer school numbers, I mentioned, were lower. We really attribute that to the fact that we have advisory time now that's built into our schedules on Tuesdays and Thursdays, where teachers and students are able to work for 20 minutes on struggling aspects that they need help with. So our failure rate was 2% this last year, where the year before was 7.6%. So that time is so important. Aaron mentioned that core classes and graduation requirements are the main focus that we have. And any student who was in need of credit was given that information in April, and then the parents were sent information through that. Mrs. Holt coordinated with students from Algebra and English 9, so if they needed to take more credits when they were done, they could, and then enroll in a morning or afternoon session to double up if they wanted to and earn more credits that way. And then it's tracked through the APEX program, and then she was the one that would contact the parents and let them know whether their student has completed the course. We listed all of our summer school staff. We had 43% of our students on an active IEP, which we felt like making sure that we had enough people there to help those students and assist with accommodations and meet the needs to help them be successful was super important. And then everything that we do is done in person. So no student does anything from home, it's all supervised.
And then now, as the school year is approaching, students that need to recover credit still have options throughout the school year. One option is students can take the course with a teacher in person for the appropriate semester they need, or students do have the opportunity to participate in the credit recovery, which is that APEX program that also runs both first and second semester during this school year. At Bennington, we need 50 credits in order to graduate. So usually when we say a student is credit deficient, as you can see, it says that if you're a senior and you have 35 or fewer credits, we would consider you deficient. And then same thing with the juniors and the sophomore class.
Any questions for us?
For the APEX program during the school year, do you guys enroll those kids like right now, or is the school year starting to enroll them to make that decision to start?
So usually it depends on their course schedule, but we do have stuff built in for credit recovery now. We are offering it Tuesdays and Thursdays after school as well for those students that may need to take full course loads already. So they do have the option after school, but also during the school day. Any questions? Thank you.
All right, that brings us to our unfinished business from last month. And I think Dr. Lilligan's going to walk us through some of the repairs that have been finalized.
Okay, the three big portions of repair that we had over the summer that you approved earlier this spring for purchase was the concrete repair around the school district, pretty standard each summer. We worked with the vendor McTom again to get bids for that fibercrete filling that we've been using in the joints into our cement. And we're able to complete all of that work. It's been completed for a few weeks now, so with all of the rain, that was nice to get that done prior. Had a chance to go out and look at that. We're happy and satisfied with the product again this year as we were a year ago. We'll continue to monitor that and bring that information to your attention each year as we need to continue to look at cement repairs, and as this continues to be a good product, we'll continue to probably bring that to your attention for approval year in and year out. Parking lot striping, again, went through the district and looked at the areas that we needed to update as far as striping, whether it's the red fire lanes or it's the yellow stall lanes out in the parking lots. Had an opportunity to do that at the Bennington High School North Lot, Bennington Middle School, Bennington Elementary, and at Heritage at a cost of $11,983. And then I did show you the carpet replacement at Bennington High School, both floor 1 and floor 2, both hallways in floor 1 and floor 2, the band room, the media center, and then our industrial tech and FCS wing had 2 classrooms that had carpet installed as well. So again, pleased with the product that was installed out there, and we'll see how that holds up and see if it can last 18 years like the last carpet did in those areas. But those are our 3 big areas that we have been working on this summer with the maintenance department in Bennington. Questions I can answer for any of that, or any other questions you might have about maintenance and facilities around the district over the summer. Again, appreciate Mr. Eden's coordination with that, working with the building finance committee, with Dr. Claus, myself. A lot of moving parts, and he does a great job every summer with that, so I appreciate that. Just I'll stay here.
Kind of a quick side on that, from this weekend, we don't know how much damage throughout the course of the district, but we did have minor damage in just about every building, whether that was, fascia on the roofs, or we had some playground equipment, especially at Heritage, that had entire poles that were holding a shade, they collapsed. And so we'll make sure we get everything cleaned up, ready for school on Wednesday, but there will be a fairly big insurance claim throughout the entire district. They should do it on one claim. So Mr. Edens and Dr. Camp and everybody, we're on top of it. And, it usually takes 2 to 3 months by the time we get approval and contractors out and everything else. But I would say generally we did okay. There was no major, something that we can't handle throughout the district, but just about every building has something.
All right, the next item of new business is the mower, which I mentioned, and you're asking for us to approve that this evening.
Yeah, unfortunately, earlier this summer, into the spring, the mower we call our Batwing, which is our large mower we use to mow soccer fields and football fields and the large open spaces around the district. The engine essentially burned up after 20 years of that piece of equipment. After 20 years, replacing it was difficult and costly. And so we looked at a replacement mower, and we're able to look at 3 different types of mowers. Believe that the Hustler mower was the one that would fit our needs, and brought that to building finance, reviewed that with them, reviewed all 3 types of mowers with them, and come to you with a recommendation of the Hustler mower for $26,167 for approval tonight, in order to replace the 20-year-old piece of equipment that we've had here in Bennington. It's a brand new mower. Yep.
I know I talked to you about it or whatever, but is it diesel or gas? I don't remember. I'm not putting
I'm not sure, is it?
It's gas.
It's gas.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yep. Sorry, that was a question I wasn't ready for. I got all my specs here, but I don't know if it's a diesel, I guess.
I just didn't, do they offer a diesel? I guess I should ask that. It won't, it'd be more, I know that.
Yeah, not in the Hustler. The other versions were diesel, but the gasoline one actually has more horsepower.
Okay.
Yeah, we believe this is gonna fit the needs that we have in the district, to help get us back on track with that. It was just, a little more. And, part of our 5-year plans are to replace equipment. This mower was down the road a year or 2, but, had an opportunity to sit down and kind of rework some of what we, can prioritize. And when things break, you gotta review that and come up with a different plan. So I appreciate the support of the building and finance committee, as we brought this to you.
Is it a comparable, step up, step down, same kind?
It's size-wise, it's similar, and what it's capable of doing is similar. We did look at some other types of mowers. We weren't just looking at one type, but for the cost, this was our best bet. It was the cheaper of the 3 that we looked at. There was one that was almost $70,000. You could put some snow attachments onto it, or it came with the snow attachments. We just felt like for the price, this was the best bang for our buck, and similar to what we've had in the past here for our maintenance guys to be able to use. Okay.
Sure, we don't have to work like 600 cranes every day.
I remember you saying that a few months ago. We mowers and people.
Yeah.
To get it done.
This is true. This is true.
Need some help at my house right now too. I don't know what I'm gonna get mowed. Other questions I can attempt to answer, or turn around and look at Jeremy to help me answer on mowers.
Thank you.
All right, I move for approval of the purchase of a mower as presented.
Second.
Tim?
Yep.
Thank you, Tim. Jody, call the roll, please.
Jeremy,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Kara,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Allison.
Yes. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, the next item of new business is for us to have a discussion on our 24-25 budget. And Dr. Claus, I think you're gonna lead this discussion.
Yeah, we're 20 days from the end of our fiscal year, 24-25. So reminder, this is current year that we're talking about. We haven't, we'll worry about next year at the next meeting. But this fiscal year, our expenses we're anticipating are going to end with payroll about 42.6 million, which would be about 79% of our budget. We believe our accounts payable is going to end right about 11.4 million, which is about 21% of our total budget. So total expenses for this year, at the end of the year, we believe we're going to be just over $54 million. If that is the case, we end there, we feel pretty confident that hit 4.69% increase year over year. So last year compared to this year, up 4.69%, which would be the lowest expense increase year over year since 2013-14. About 6.5% of that was payroll. Expenses for payroll went up, plus additional staff this current year. Accounts payable, which we have a little bit more control on, is going to be decreased by about 1.6%. So all in, our expenses are up about 4.7% year over year, which has been fairly low compared to the previous years. As far as revenue is concerned, we're planning to end the year with just over $53 million in revenue. And so we're showing that just under $1 million deficit this year. A reminder, this year we lost $5.4 million in state aid. And so our revenues this year are actually 2.4% lower than the previous year. So what we brought in this year, 53 million, is almost 2.5% less than what we brought in 23-24. And so that's something to just kind of keep in mind. I believe I went back to 2006 and then I got bored and stopped, but we've never had a decrease in revenue in our district, at least in the last 20 years. And so that was a lot to navigate this year, but I'm really proud of the district and how we navigated it without impacting students students. Another thing to keep in mind on that deficit, so we ran out $1 million deficit. At the beginning of the year, we planned a $2 million spend down when we paid off $2 million of bonds early. And so rewind a year ago, I was saying, hey, I think we're going to run a $2 million deficit this year. We're just hoping to break even. We actually end up with $1 million deficit. So doing pretty good on that front. That takes our cash reserves from about 25% last year down to about 23% this year. So we're still in excellent shape on that end. We're well positioned, I would say, to begin 25-26. We feel like we're in a good spot. We don't have the $5 million in reduction of state aid or anything like that for the upcoming year. So we're in a little bit better shape as we begin 25-26. Questions on this year's budget?
Great, thank you. Next item is a review of our 25-26 enrollment projections. And I think you're going to take us through this as well.
Yeah, so we have 3 documents available. We'll start on just some highlights, I guess. Actual enrollment, yeah, thank you. So kind of a reminder on how we track where students are growing in what way. The first way is our cohort survival number. And so that would be the number of students. We have 100 kids in kindergarten. We have 102 kids in first grade. As that cohort moved, we would increase by 2. And so that's one way that we track just to see how much are we growing year over year in each of our different grades. And then the second one is entry exit. How many graduating seniors compared to how many incoming kindergartners? And so those are really 2 variables that we look at. Our total enrollment this year, K through 12, is going to be as of late last week, was 4,427 students. If you count pre-K through 12, we're just over 4,500 students. And so that increase of 156 students would be about 3.65%, which is pretty good. You're not seeing districts grow at quite a high percentage as they have in the past. A couple of reasons: the birth rates are down across not only Douglas County and the state, but the entire country. And so people are starting to see that. In addition, just growth, especially places like Bennington and Elkhorn and Gretna, the fast-growing districts, houses just aren't popping up quite as fast as the interest rates have been high and elevated over the last couple of years. And so this year's kindergarten class has 308 students, which would be low, but also pretty stable for what we've seen. We're on year 7. This is our lowest, but I think it was 312 was the lowest before, so not by too much. But in the last 7 years, we've been between 308 and 345 within our kindergarten classes. So the birth rate thing has really stabilized, I think, throughout our district over that time. That's been sort of nice because it's allowed us to catch up on our elementary staffing. We were adding elementary buildings just about every other year. We're still in okay shape as far as capacity is concerned at the elementary level, and a lot of it I attribute to that. As far as our cohort survival rates, the number of kids we're moving into the district each year, the average has been 99 students over the last 7 years. So over the last 7 years, we've had 100 new kids, 1st through 12th grade. We were down quite a bit for the last couple of years, where I think our average is about 68. This year, it jumped back up to 97. And so we have seen a little bit more than the average as far as the increase this year. So our entry-exit number has decreased from, I think it was 6 years ago, we had 197. So the number of graduating, we had 170 graduating students and 345 kindergarten students. So there's 197 difference between that. This year, it's 59. And so we're going to start to see that entry-exit continue to decrease until we see our kindergarten numbers increase exponentially, which we have not seen over the last 7 years anyways. So we're down to 59. I imagine that will continue to lower throughout the coming years. Don't mind going to the next one, please. Questions on any of those? All right. Next is our individual buildings. We'll begin with Anchor Point, which is our largest, or excuse me, our fastest growing building at this point as far as the elementary is concerned. This year they have 466 students K through 5. That does not include the 77 preschool students. So we have over 150 students, or excuse me, over 550 students in the Anchor Point building at this point, pre-K through 5. It's crazy. So that was 48 student increase this year. Last year was a 62 student increase. And so when we had the assistant principal this year talking about the growth of the building, absolutely, we've seen it the most at Anchor Point. 2 years, 110 students we've added within that building. Bennington Elementary has been fairly stable, losing 7 this year. Heritage went down about 24 students. I'm going to couple them up with Pine Creek, who went down about 40 students as well. This is something we believe long-term we would expect in Heritage and Pine Creek for them to stabilize. Those different neighborhoods are 100% developed at this point, and so you don't have any additional homes. It's just who's going to be living in the homes, which as of now, you're probably not seeing as much movement within those neighborhoods. So if my kids are starting to get middle school or high school, I don't have elementary anymore. We're seeing those move through the system, but not a lot of people moving out with new kids that would be in Heritage or Pine Creek Elementary. That doesn't mean it won't change. All of a sudden, we have a bunch of people move in with elementary kids the next year, but we think those numbers are going to be fairly stable into the future. Not decrease, not increase, just be fairly stable each year. Stratford continued to grow at 11. I think we'll keep seeing Stratford increase over the coming years. A lot of the boundaries have Stratfords in the new neighborhoods, which aren't growing quite as fast as we would have anticipated a couple of years ago. And so they are continuing to grow, but not super fast at this point. Our 2 middle schools, our elementaries were busting at the seams. We kind of got those all taken care of. They're moving now to the middle schools, and we're seeing a lot of growth there. Bennington Middle School increased 32 students this year. Bennington South increased 47 students this year. So we're going to continue to see that, and then transition one more level to the high school. We're up to 1,157 students, or an increase of 50. So this year, we're going to be at 101% capacity at the high school. Assuming we have low to no growth, next year will be about 110%. The following year will be about 117. And then the next year would be the split when the new high school would come online, and then all of a sudden we'd have capacity in both of the buildings. So going to continue to see that trend through our middle schools and high school. Even though our elementaries haven't grown quite as fast, that wave is still coming that we haven't quite caught up with yet. I think I got ahead of myself. I got so excited. let's see if I can drag it too. I was just going on top of my head. Yes, all right. So here is our chart that we look through at the capacities at each of the levels. So you can see we'll start on the elementaries. This year we are 86% capacity, seeing that go up to as high as 90 by 2030, 2031. So in 5 years, we'd be at 90% capacity. Again, this is using our 5-year cohort survival rate. So if we went from 100 kids to 102 kids, that's 2. We do that for 5 straight years, average them together. That way it's a little bit smoother, and then we project out what we're going to look like. If you think of the last 5 years, we've had 3 kind of slower years, 2 that were pretty heavy. This probably is the most accurate for us right now. We've been using the 3-year cohort survival. That's really conservative at this point. That can't be the end-all method for us. We just got to keep thinking our way through it because interest rates drop 2% next year. I don't think either of those work. We're going to have to go to maybe an 8-year cohort survival or something to bring in the high growth numbers. But this is all on the 5-year, which is probably the most accurate that we know as of August 11, 2025. As far as the middle school is concerned, when the split took place, we were down to 61%. This year, we're up to 74%, projecting to 84 by 2030, 2031. So we're still in pretty good spot there. In the green, which is under 89%, the yellow is 90 to 94. So we got to start thinking, what does that look like? And then obviously the red is we're over 95 in crisis territory, not crisis territory, but we got to be acting quickly territory. So as we talk about the high school, the percentages, we kind of know that we're in for a little bit of a bumpy ride as far as capacity is concerned for the next 3 years, this year and 2 more, and then we'll see that relief in 2029 when the second high school comes online. Questions about that? And this is something that we are constantly monitoring. This is a 12-month-a-year job for us. We're always looking at different ways to improve and forecast and make sure that we're putting the school district in the best position to be successful year over year and into the future.
Thank you. All right, our next item of business is for us to discuss, consider, and take action on our student information system for the 26-27 school year.
All right, so I'm going to have Rob come up, and here's what's going to happen is I'm going to give an intro. And if you have a question, you can look directly to Rob, and he'll answer it for you, okay? So NEPSIS, our student information system, we currently use NEPSIS, and we have for decades. It's served the district really well, but it's also something we want to continue to refine and look at. We've had a little bit of a struggles as it's evolved as far as our student staffs and families, as far as integration, scalability, user experience, and support. And so we put together a staff committee to kind of look at it, evaluate, is this the right student information system for us, or should we look somewhere else? As we went through there, we did a SWOT analysis, we looked at concerns, we looked at long-term sustainability, and just the ability for it to meet our goals in the future. Following that analysis, the committee had a request for information, brought in 4 different vendors. Each of those vendors was put up against an evaluation rubric and a matrix. Ended up bringing in 2 finalists on site. They gave presentations. They were on site for multiple hours, got questions from the committee. They really worked it over pretty good to see what was going to be the best. What they graded on was functionality, user experience, technical performance, integration, the training support they offer, long-term cost effectiveness. When they put that up against the scale, Synergy got a 48.1 out of 60, and PowerSchool got a 43.6 out of 60. And so Synergy was the clear winner out of the 2 that were brought in. And so with that, the committee is going to recommend that we move to Synergy as our student information system into the future. Things that they think are the biggest benefits is the user experience. NEPSIS does a really good job with the information, but the interface that we all interact with on our end with parents and staff members and students is a little bit antiquated. And so we do believe that the user experience will be quite a bit more streamlined and modern with Synergy. It has enhanced data accuracy and reporting, better integration. We think of NEPSIS as, oh, that tells me where my kids' grades are, or that tells me who my kids' teachers are, or teachers, this is what I'm going to put my grades into. It does a lot for us. It is not just those things. This is where our state reporting comes out of. This is how everything is connected. It's how our textbooks get assigned to students. It is the hub almost everything that we do within the school system. And so it is really important, and it integrates within our learning management system, our HR tools that we use, our assessment tools. Everything comes out of this system. It is really honestly the brain for everything that we do. And so we believe this system will integrate into all those tools better than Nexus does currently. We think it's got a scalable architecture to it, so it's used in huge school districts all around the country, several here in the state of Nebraska as well. And so, you know, we feel like we're pretty big at 4,500, but when it's also serving districts that have 25,000, we realize that we're going to scale into it no problem long into the future. And then it's got strong vendor support and data security as well. So those are the positives. A few things, obviously nothing's ever perfect. And so things that we are worried about moving into the future is our report recreation. We are running reports out of Nexus every day, whether that's for the state, a teacher, a building, the district. When anybody asks for information, this is what we're going into and saying, what are our grades, what is our data, what do we need? And we have reports that do that. They've all been made over the course of the last 20, 30 years. We have to start over if we move to a different information system. Now, knowing that, we're not the first school that's ever had it, so we just got to work with Synergy to get those reports recreated, figure out how to run them, make sure they're running the way that we want them to, because we've had all those customized over the years. And so that's going to be a lot of upfront time, which is also why we're here today in August of 2025. We've not looked to implement this until 2026. That gives us 11 months of a runway to land the plane on this. And so we would spend all of the year working behind the scenes, making sure our reports are ready and our data is, and that way when it rolls out, it's pretty seamless for everybody. But we know that there's going to be some bumps in the road as well. Another potential area of consideration is just the document storage. As of right now, we don't fully store all of our cumulative files and IEPs within the system. If we ever decide to do that, it absolutely has the capability. We just know that we're going to have to pay for storage to do that. That doesn't come free. And so that's not a today issue, but if we ever want to go to that fully digital model, we're going to have to think about that. Finally, getting to the cost comparison. There is an upfront implementation cost, as far as getting everything set up through the course of the year. And so that is included within the proposal from Synergy. The first year costs about $69,000. Years 2, 3, 4, and 5 are about $53,000 a year, escalating up to about $58,000 a year. So the 5-year period, we expect $290,764. For comparison, so what does that mean? Is that more or less? What is it? It's pretty comparable to what we're doing with Nexus. This year, we're going to pay $55,000 for Nexus. Over the last 5 years, we've seen that cost go up about 43%. So 5% a year, I think that's probably fairly comparable. Most of our vendors over the last 5 years, just with inflation where everything has been. So if it went up 5% annually, starting this year moving forward, that same 5-year time period with Nexus would cost us just over $319,000. So about $40,000 more. Whether Nexus goes up 3%, 2%, 5%, I think these basically are going to be fairly comparable from the year, whether it's this switch or we stay. So cost isn't a huge factor, although Synergy in that model, most of this is because we're paying for the implementation of the front end. So as we move forward to the next 5 years, it might save us fairly significant amount of money. And then, as I said before, this would begin with the 26-27 school year if it were approved tonight as well. Questions for Rob?
What happens to the historical data in Nexus?
So part of that implementation cost, when you pull, we've based it to pull 5 years of historical data. When I say 5 years, that's K-12 for last year. That's K-12 for the year before. 5 years would give us long enough that any kids that are in college right now, if they came back and said, hey, I need my transcript, we would be able to pull that. We would still have the hard records for everything past there, but that would digitally bring in the last 5 years, all the grades, the attendance. So when we look at rebuilding these reports that we talked about, we would have all that historical data as well. So we should be covered in that aspect.
Okay, thanks, Rob.
The other big part about the cost is, you mentioned some of the reports. Some of that is what we're rebuilding. We'll have some support from them. The one other nice thing is we will have the ability to build these reports, but right now we have to depend
pretty reliably on ESU. We'll have better access to our own data to be able to build these things on the fly as they come up.
I should have mentioned, I think Synergy has an entire division that is set up only for implementation. So that's all they do all day long.
And how long are we in the contract for?
5 years.
5 years.
Yeah, this would lock our pricing for 5 years. Again, keeping it pretty consistent to where we had been with Nemesis.
And how long have you been with Nemesis?
A little over 19 years.
Really?
How many years, mowers, carpet?
Keeping
Carpet.
And the pricing is all in on implementation, no matter how long it takes.
Correct. That is a 5-year cost. If implementation takes longer than that, we're still.
Any other questions?
This is a pretty big decision. I know Rob and our staff committee did an amazing job. They spent tons of time meeting and going over and interviewing everybody and totally trust their judgment on this one. But it's going to touch every person in our district that's associated with our school. So whether you're a parent, staff member, whatever, if you're associated with public schools, you're going to touch this. This SIS. So it is a big change, and it's something I think we're excited for and well positioned to make sure it rolls out in next year really smoothly.
All right, thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Here is the proposed motion.
I move to approve Synergy as a student information system member for Bennington Public Schools beginning with the 2026-27 school year.
Thank you, Steve. Is there a second?
Second.
That was a dead tie, but who's louder? So it's closer. Second by Jeremy. You louder, Joe. All right, Jody, call the roll, please.
Allison?
Yes.
Jeremy?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Kara?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Steve?
Aye.
Right, motion passes. All right, we have a lot of dates and meetings coming up with budget season. So just as a reminder to the board and the committee, our next regular meeting is September 8th, beginning with a budget hearing at 6 o'clock and our regular board meeting following that. We have a special meeting set up on the 25th to clear final bills for the fiscal year at 5 o'clock, and then we'll be on our strategic plan right after that. The joint public hearing is on September 17th downtown in the Omaha Douglas County Civic Center if necessary. And no committee meetings scheduled as of yet, but I'm sure some will happen. And finally, professional development opportunities for the board coming up from NASB on September 9th and 24th. And as always, if you're interested, contact Jody. All right, no further business. I move to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
On the board.
Second by Joe, thank you. Jody, call the roll.
Jeremy?
Yes.
Tim? Kara?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Allison?
Yes. Motion passes and we're adjourned.
Thank
And
you.
students, if you need your papers signed, feel free to come up. We're happy to sign for you.